Namaskar. Welcome to Women's Special Express Show. Our today's guest is very special, as all of us are special to her. She is the one who decided to liberate herself and whoever comes in her touch. She always brings butterfly effect in everyone's life. She is a master of Kundalini Yoga and she has done doctorate in comprehension of God's subject. She is counted in first 50 philosophers in the world. She has taken up a mission to bring yogic science and sculptures in easy way to our life. She is working towards clinical yoga and focused meditation and proving concept of Aham Brahmasmi. She was honored with Samarpit Jivan Gaurav Puraskar by World Peace Center and also recognized as eminent personality of India. We are honored to have Dr. Swami Radhikananda on our show today. Namaskar. Welcome to Women's Special Express. Today we have a very special guest. She is magical, she is mystical, she is spiritual. We never thought of that kind of a guest on our show, but she is here to bring a very magical effect in our life. she has received doctorate in comprehension of God's subject, and she is here as a divine as a divine effect in our life today. She is Swami Radhikananda. I'm honored to have her on our show. Namaskar, Swamiji.
Namaskar, namaskar.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm good, enjoying
Good.
this lockdown period and trying
Yes,
to come up with something that's very much needed for all of us.
right. You're right. We're all in a lockdown situation right now.
Swamiji, from scientific point of view, we know this situation has, why we are into. There is an ecological imbalance, and we couldn't take care of nature in a way that was needed. But what could be the spiritual side of it? That why we are in the lockdown. I always wonder. I mean, many of us always wonder.
Yes, you're right. Yes, we are in a forced situation. Um, this is not a very normal situation, and it has come as a calamity over the whole world. So we all need to think about it. But the main reason might be that we are all probably craving for material success. The world is now craving for material success, and they are willing to uh, give up all the levels of dignity in all the fields to achieve this material success. Whether it is politics, or whether it is social picture, or whether it is Bollywood, Hollywood, uh, relationships, professionalism, everywhere a man is willing to give up certain dignity level to attain material success. And Karuna might be a sort of a message to all of us that we need to become careful. We need to all be careful. No, we need to be basically good. Each individual has to be normally good. We cannot have too many people who are willing to go into the wrong direction. We need more number of people who will really make efforts to remain as good people on earth. Normally, these four yugas which come, Satyug, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali Yuga, only the proportion has changed. Satyug, maybe 75% people were basically good, The right and wrong is not so important, but being good is very important. The
Right.
next yuga brought about 50-50. The third yuga reversed the situation. There were 75 people of bad and less of good. So this proportion of being good, all those who are basically a human person is a good person. Is an incarnation of God's miniature. There's nothing wrong in that. But unless you are driven for material success and you're willing to sacrifice all these dignities, compromising with dignity should be avoided. Then only I think we could avoid um, such calamities natural calamities. These are like one of the natural calamities, but which are, God doesn't take the blame upon himself for any injustice done to the world. He has to find out, he has to let us know where we have gone wrong. It's a silent teacher. It's a silent teacher which has walked into our life. Probably there's another way of looking at it also. This might have even be, it might be that God must have thought that if we are all aspiring for world war or third world war or
Mm.
waiting for something to come up, this could be a small example and sample of it, showing us that you're not yet prepared to meet even a small viral. So I don't think we are ready for wars, because there will be devastation at huge levels. So a man is made to get up. This is an awakening call. COVID-19 is an awakening call to humanity. In Bhagavad Gita, we have a saying that it shall rain only if the karma is good. And
Mm.
only if the karma is good, it will rain, and then you get the crop, and then you will overcome the droughts. So,
Okay.
karma, the activity, the action is very important. Action and motive of humanity is very important. At least the proportion in which it should be done, the majority should be good people. It's okay if we have small, few percentage, about 10 to 5% of people who are probably away from conscious concept. But
Mm.
the rest of them should make tremendous efforts to stick on to the right side of the
Mm. Interesting. So,
life. Okay.
as you said, like this is an awakening call. There are many people sitting at home. They have to
Okay.
sit at home for a reason,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I think every individual somewhere or the other is, doing a deep dive inside and
Yeah.
finding out what should be my relevant profession next, what
Right.
care I can at my individual level should be taken, and so many people are thinking on all these lines, and that's a very good side of it. The other part is there are people who are utilizing this period to be a creative, to bond with their families. That is also happening. So there are all
Yes.
good sides as well. We are seeing, like through this social media, we are seeing so many people are doing so many good things. So that again, as you said, like the human itself is made good, and
Yes.
it's all the
Basically,
reflections that we are, trying to see put forward. That's a very
it's
good
an
side.
incarnation of God. Every human being is a reflection of God. So it can't be so bad, because the
True.
human body and mind and intellect are so perfect a machinery. It cannot have too many faults. But the little that are grown in individuals, they can disturb the entire. I'll have a drop of a stone pebble in a water, pure water, can disturb the whole thing. So
Right.
something like that. We need to be pure. Yes.
But
Continue
there
with
is
your.
also a challenge in the lockdown that most of us are facing. People who have kids, they are the ones, especially, are very much impacted, because as a mother, I also feel that my child is not allowed to play with other kids. He is the only child for now. Looking at the modern society, there are many parents who have only child, and then what happens is teaching them sharing. It cannot be a book written story. It has
Okay.
to become through the practicals. And now with
Practical.
this change, we all are afraid that our kids are getting addicted to the virtual medias, and the homeschooling is happening, and everything is coming online. Certain times I'm worried that, my kid may start saying that, okay, for the evening prayers, why don't you start your laptop songs, and we'll be done. So all these worries are there. I think every parent is facing that, tint of it every time, somewhere or the other. But after this lockdown period, and what we see is that things will change, the norms would change, the social distancing will still be followed for a certain time. Then how our kids will still go back and mingle around, and still be the same what they were.
Now, what we could do at this time is, with your children, try to inculcate a couple of qualities in them. And first of it is enrich their mind. Whatever you can, because all, most of the parents are completely educated, and women are also educated there. So the concept of inculcating an enriched mind, more than just educational mind, it should be an enriched mind. You should be able to inculcate in them certain beautiful qualities. Tap what these qualities naturally are, because we are there are about 26 beautiful human divine qualities, of which every one of us will at least have 3 to 4 qualities. Right from your childhood, you will see some of them are reflected through children. So, two things is, one is you have to enrich their minds, and secondly, try to tap those qualities in them. And thirdly, develop a sense of curiosity in them to have practical experience in life. You have to encourage it, inculcate that in them as a habit. Suppose you say what you're seeing an ice cream on the laptop, you can't eat it, can you? You need to go and have it directly. Or will that satisfy you, just an ice cream on a laptop? So we all need to inculcate these values and give them a sahas drishti. We call it an easier way of understanding. So this is how we need to train these minds, and this is the time you're getting child time with your children. So see that they are introduced to the basic beautiful virtues of, which are called, considered as virtues, will distinct you from animal world.
Hmm. So you think that I mean, although this is a virtual time that everybody is on, it
Huh.
will still be able to come back to the values where the sharing will happen, where the kids will play, and there won't be any doubts in their mind. It is still gonna happen the same way, right?
No, yes, yes, yes. Anything that comes out of sudden, by law, has to go away from sudden. So this is a calamity which has come out of a sudden. It
Right.
was not expected. So it's going to go back. Everything, even if even the stalwarts of like Brahma and all have an ending date. Now this is just a tiny miniature virus. It has to have its end date. So we are looking forward for it. And I don't think it is very far. It's just that whenever the medicine or anything is traced, people should not try to earn out of it by saying we'll make a patent and then pass it on and all. It should be immediately forwarded, considered as something good. Because in a world which is created by God, if there is a question, there is bound to be an answer. You cannot have a question in the world which doesn't have an answer. It's just that the answers have to be brought closely to the person who's questioning. That distance has to be shortened, and the important feature of it is the time factor. So, if people are going to try and exploit the situation, it may take a couple of months more. But consciousness is something which is also inculcated in human beings, which does not allow a normal human being to go overboard as far as evil intentions are concerned.
Hmm.
So they try to overcome it. I mean, it's not that difficult. All of us have got the conscious element in us. It's a part of our system and a part of human being. So it is bound to rise. And spirit always rises above matter.
Wow. Thank you for giving us that confidence. Um,
Huh.
so Guruji, you are one of the first 50, or like you are always being counted in first 50 philosophers who are traveling throughout the world. You go and, have the workshops created from the
Yeah.
child psychology to all the adult psychology. So
Yes.
when we say spirituality, what does it logically means, or the psychologically, what kind of a definition we can give? So from the psychology point of view, if we have to just give some easy terms, that that everyone somewhere is spiritual, then what it could be?
Yeah. I think you, that is that conscious element which I talked about just now. The
Hmm.
more and more you tap that, the more and more you're going to follow that, because it has its own potential of giving you the finest things in the world. If you live by consciousness, it is like living a pure life.
Mm-hmm.
The moment it is a purest light, you just need to be a pure prism. The entire universal energy can flow through. What
Hmm.
you need to do is you be your purest self.
Hmm.
Whenever there is a chance between going right and wrong, stick to being right.
Hmm.
Whenever there is a need to be good and bad, stick to being good. There people want to ask me, what about wars and this thing? So I said, don't choose wars. If there is a choice given to you, you choose peace. If war comes your way, you have to fight the battle. But if it is given to you as a choice, then opt for peace. Because the more you are purer in your motives, the more
Mm-hmm.
energy universal energy will function through you, and you will be led to a place of harmony. So that's very important. That is very important that you stick to the right side of life all the time. Make every inch of an effort to do.
So sometimes that's the dilemma. What is the right side? That is the biggest dilemma that, everybody faces. Like,
No,
you are doing
yes,
certain jobs and that job demands some act that
okay,
could be inversely proportion.
correct. Now, I will give you a simple example. I would rather say be good, because right for you might be wrong for me, and right for me might be wrong for you. But if you are good, basically good, then you will know how to go through the situation, keeping both the balances in life. For example, if you are working, as I said, if you are working, a person working in the corporate world today, it's a demanding job, time demanding, time consuming. But then, however, you have got, say, they have decided to give a certain period, 8 hours, 9 hours. This is one third of the day. So it's okay if it is one third of the day. When you are out in the corporate world or you are out in the working world, use your brains for it. And when you are amongst your family people with your dear and near ones, use your heart in it, because they will both be two different ways of dealing with the situation. And that will be very important. When you set these priorities right, they
Mm-hmm.
will also give you correct functioning.
Oh, that's so nice to know. Um, using brains outside where it's really needed and using heart in the home, I think that is the key that
That is
every
the key for
human
success.
being, right,
There's
on
one
both
more
the
thing I
side.
would like to add to your this thing. There are two ways. You either play a role or you be the role. But
Hmm.
somewhere you can play the role and somewhere you need to be the role. For example, I am a spiritual person. I need to be spiritual genuinely in my life. But there is sometimes places where I need to play the role, and
Hmm.
sometimes where I don't need to play the role. For example, if I'm in my family, I don't need to play the role of all the time, posing as a speaker or a orator or a sadhu or something, and not looking into their normal material needs. So you've got to balance it. You sometimes have to be, and sometimes you have to play the role. So these two things, if you remember, you will do successfully very well in the world.
So Swamiji, how did you come to play this role? Or you I think by choice you took up this role that yes, I want to just liberate myself, and now is the time that I would just retire and I would just give up everything that I have, and I'll just study
No, no,
whatever
no.
else.
Actually, um, I was right from my childhood. At the age of 10, uh, we were in Kulaba, Bombay, and we had a small room, a puja room, a worshipping place. I would lock myself inside it, and I would keep on asking Lord Krishna to come, because my name had a Radha word in that. So every time I would say, since that name is there, I'm sure you are my person that I'm really attached to. So you should come. But the time came when this had taken up a very high, this thing, my parents were worried. My father was very worried about it. He thought I'm not going to be fit for the material world. But and I did have because of that intense drive, I did have the fortune of seeing Lord Krishna in person. And
Wow.
yes, but I was just 10. So I was a little scared because at night he just woke me up and he said, "You want to come and play? Come." So when I saw there was a lad standing near me, a very beautiful boy. I was 10 and he must have been about 11, 12 or 14, whatever. He was like, and that is also the same picture had come to me when I went about 20 years back in Singapore. I had my lectures on Bhagavad Gita for 7 days. At
Hmm.
that time, on the seventh day, Lord Krishna had appeared in my camera. It's there as a picture in my. He has come in the form of a light. That size, that stature is same what I had seen when I was 10.
Wow.
So I was fond of it right from childhood. I had very mesmerizing situations at times with gods. I have had the opportunity of seeing almost all forms of gods of all religions also. So you just it's a beautiful journey. It's a beautiful journey. We say as you grow up, your attentions get driven to various needs in life, and because of that, probably my journey must have got just delayed a little more. But I think I was on it right from start. And then afterwards, when my mother realized that I was much into it, she took me to a spiritual master. On this journey, it's
Hmm.
very essential to have spiritual masters. So I had the fortune of meeting three masters. First one I met was Param Puja Guruni Maharaj from Pune itself. I was just 14. Uh, then I met the second one was Muktanand Baba
Hmm.
from Ganeshpuri. And third was my actual guru, whom I really now consider as my revered guru, Umanand Sarswati. Now, it is not that those three, I went from one to the other, meant anything that they lacked. No, it was just that I was not trained enough at that age to receive what I should have received from the first master. So
Hmm.
I needed a second master who came in the same person. It's a principle, PLE, not principal,
Hmm.
PAL. Gurutva is a principle. So it just accompanied me, fortunately, till I came to the third master, who made me come down and study. She said, "You have to study. You've done enough meditation." And of course, I plunged myself into studies. And simultaneously, I lived a normal life also. It's not that, and you don't need to live normal life.
Hmm.
If you are safer with a normal life, you can do your work better.
Hmm.
You don't have to be very hard and stiff about any. You don't have to be very stiff about spiritual laws. They are very natural instincts. Actually, the moment your curiosity for realization comes, the rest of the things start accompanying. All these other forces. There are
Hmm.
about seven forces in human life
Hmm.
which we all can keep on, which accompany us right from childhood.
Hmm.
It's basically we are made of spirit and matter. When
Hmm.
the spirit rules, the matter follows spirit, and if the matter rules, the spirit follows the matter. So, for luckily for me, I think the spirit made me follow, made my matter follow the spirit.
Hmm.
So probably that is the reason I am still on this path. It's now more than 55 years. Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting. So you also had a married life by then. You have a son, and still you were pursuing this. And then, what is that trigger point when you realize that now I think I should just drop this and just
Okay.
continue?
Actually, I was married to a very a handsome, charming young man, Flight Lieutenant Ashok Balwant. And uh, it was with him also. And we were posted to Tejpur. And Tejpur was a place where it was my first station. I went, I was 23, he was 28. Unfortunately, in 71 war, he was killed in action. And that happened in 1971. So he was 28 and I was about 23. So it was not like a rebound. So I was already in it. Um, Probably I just fell back into it. That was one thing I could say. And secondly, uh, the one thing, good thing happened is when I had got married, I was not even a graduate. But when he passed away, then I decided to take up my study. Nature of studies, uh, I think that picked up over there. And I began to study. And my father, who himself was a great orator, writer of 67 books, Madhav Pagadi.
Padma Bhushan historian.
Yes, Padma Bhushan Seth Madhav Pagadi.
Yeah.
He kept on encouraging me. When I finished my BA, he said, "You're MA." He got me a table. He paid for the table and he said, "This is my gift to you. I want you to do a study table." I didn't have a study table then. So he gave me a study table. He gave me a check of 250 and he said, "You pick up a study table so that you do your MA." And after the moment I did my MA, he said, "Now you have to do your PhD."
Oh.
But somehow I did it much later, not when he was there. But somehow that probably triggered off the need of studies. And I kept studying, and simultaneously, first I did to earn, and later it became my nature. So now I'm at it. I mean, if there's no book to study, more than reading, I prefer to study. So there are various subjects I've studied, and if there is something to study, then I feel I'm living.
Yeah.
So yes, that's it.
So that inherent nature of studying was always there with you. And when you received your doctorate, after that you also decided there is so much out there. Why not to bring it up to the people? So sometimes it could be the narrations back of the very good sculptures to have it around, so that all youth, all the teenagers can read it in their own language and get the right knowledge. So sometimes
Yes.
it was that kind of a translations that you did for a easy to understanding, and sometimes you also wrote something that you are master at. You are a Kundalini Yoga master, and
It's
right.
a very beautiful journey. Kundalini Yoga is a beautiful journey. The moment you start living by your consciousness, Pranali, intuition works beautifully with you. It comes hand in hand with consciousness. The voice of consciousness is intuition.
Wow.
The very voice of consciousness is intuition. That is how it comes to us. I'll give you a small example of intuition. Suppose you are stepping out of the house and you are about to pull the door. An inner voice says to you, "Have you picked up your key?" There's nobody around you, but somebody has prompted that. That is simple intuition. That is a common intuition which all of us can have. There are special intuitions which will come to you as you select a subject. If the subject could be sports, then you'll have intuitions in sports. If you're a very good cook, then you get intuitions in cooking. So this is an intuition gets very beautifully molded with your consciousness. That consciousness, it is the voice of consciousness. So if you are living by consciousness, then you have it's like a loudspeaker. You are speaking. Yes, so it keeps on reminding you. Now, what is the beauty of intuition and consciousness? If intuition gives you an idea, then it doesn't leave you with that idea. If you decide to discard it, it will keep on coming back to you to tell you, remind you, no, you've got to do this. No, you've got to do this. That is the beauty of intuition. If it is desire, then you may want to do it, you may want to give it up. But if it is an intuition, for example, if I want to study, then I sometimes I'm lazy, then I'll say I won't do it. But then when I lie down, my consciousness says you've missed out a day. You get my point?
Yeah.
So beautiful statistics here. You will enjoy that. Someday, some people asked me, and there was a World Forum, World Youth Forum, and we were there. I had a stall there. So people came to me and they were wanting to know about how to go about it with the exams and all. I said, you students are here. Don't you should be studying? You've got exams. They said, we got 2 months. So I converted those 2 months in simple days, number of days. So 30, 60 days. In 60 days, one third day, 20 days you're going to sleep. In 40 days, 20 days you're going to do something other than that. And you have only 20 days to study and you have about 6 papers to deal with. So you just get 2 days or 3 days per paper in which you have to do your first attempt of studies and revision. How many days do you have? They said,
Oh.
please, Swamiji, give some time for us. You are frightening us. I said, I just want to tell you that time is a kshanbhangur. It is very small, a fraction of a moment. So you cannot play with time. Let's say I'm blessed with another 10. I'm not sure. 10 is only 3,650 days. 1,000 days I want to sleep, one third of it. 2,000, 1,000 is going for my daily bread, earning, sleep, whatever. And
Yeah.
only I have 1,000 days to complete 4 Vedas.
Yeah, so that's why you get up at 3 o'clock and you work on your material.
Yes, because unless you don't realize how fast the time can fly, you
Hmm.
cannot get focused. This can be even told to the students so that they understand that 60 days or 2 months of exam period is not a lot. It's
Right.
not a, because the moment you split the time down, you'll realize that it is not enough. So you've got to work harder. That's all.
Interesting. So, Swamiji, when let's like come down to the normal life where we need your guidance. I mean, I know many of us are seeking a good guidance from you. Sometimes it's a mundane question. Sometimes it is the actual spiritual journey that they want to do with you, or for that matter, anybody else. So I have this basic question. There are so many spiritual gurus out there, and then there is also a philosophy that says that all the time masters come and pick the disciples if they have to liberate. But how do we relate that theory? How do I know that my master will pick me? But it also happens that, that we go to different type of gurus. Sometimes we like their philosophy at that moment. Sometimes their theories are something that is more relevant at the time of life. So we go to different masters. And then there is also a saying that you will always find one master who will liberate you, and that master will pick you. Now this all seems very magical to me, and I also want to know more about it. I'm
Okay.
sure many of us want to know more about it.
Right now. Now this is a simple uh, formula of demand and supply because that's the words which are understood. If there is a demand, there is a supply. The universe is all unified. You and me, in some way, are connected, not because of this particular thing, because of the subject choice you have made and the subject choice I have followed. So the connection comes because there is something common between the two. Now, normally, a guru goes to the person who is chosen by destiny to offer some great contribution to the mankind through spiritual service. So a
Hmm.
spiritual master will see. Suppose there is a person who is going to contribute towards the sports world, then a sports master will be able to locate him. So it
Right.
is a combination because we are all uniform, we are united in some way where this sort of a combination is there. That is what we call harmony. Advaita philosophy is this, that whenever there is a very deep need of something, that is supplied to you. Now let's take the example of the trees. Now the roots need water. Now the water is somewhere there. The moment the roots are, they start growing towards the water. So there is a system which is normal. Now you look at yourself, the air comes to your nose tip. You don't have to put your nose out of the window to breathe. Even in the lift, the air will come to you. Words come to your ears. Sight comes to your eyes. Light comes to your eyes. Knowledge comes to you from within. Words come into your mouth. Food is grown from the soil. You don't have to dig and put your hands down into the soil to bring the crop up. Everything is brought to you. Similarly, when there is a tremendous desire in you, which is called as Ichha Shakti, the moment your Ichha Shakti grows, the second instant um, power which follows, accompanies Ichha Shakti is Jnana Shakti. Somebody around will come and give you the address of the people. Okay, you are in need of so and so, I heard. So this person is there. I'll give you a very beautiful story of Loknath Tirtha and Guru Maharaj. Um, Loknath Tirtha was in search, Guru Maharaj was in search of a guru. And he first thought that Tengbe Swami was his first initiating guru. But every time he followed Tengbe Swami, wherever he heard this, and since Guru Maharaj was just drawing about 2 rupees as a yoga teacher, he's traveling by trains and buses were out of question. And just follow the rail tracks and trace. So every time he tried to reach Tembe Swami would leave that place and go elsewhere. Now, a time came when he had almost given up because the prediction was that in 6 months you find your guru, otherwise it will go for the next life. Now, this man who was aware the importance of guru, he was desperately in search of. And when he was in search of guru, just 10 days before 6 months came to an end, Loknath Tirtha was a sannyasi. He had come down to Maharashtra and he was in his own hometown next in a temple and he was suffering with some sort of a diarrhea problem. So a friend of Guru Maharaj rushed to Guru Maharaj. He said, "You are in search of a guru. There is a very great sannyasi. He seems to be there. He's a kid, but so if you are interested, but he's not well. So if you like to help him." So Maharaj rushed to him and brought Loknath Tirtha home. He was just born. Loknath Tirtha was hardly 21, 22 then. So when he brought him home, he looked after him for a couple of days. And then he said, then they both were talking now. Loknath Tirtha was better. So he said, actually, I was in search of a guru who gave me Veda Diksha. So Loknath Tirtha says, "Main deta hu, I give it." So he said, "What are you saying?" I'd like to. He says, "Okay, then say I will give it to you." He said, "I didn't know. I was told in Kashi, go down to Maharashtra. At that time, to my goddess, I kept on saying, I don't know anybody in Maharashtra." Loknath Tirtha said, goddess, I don't know anybody in Maharashtra. Why should I go there? So she said, "No, you go. Somebody needs you there." And when he came down, so this is how universality works. But we are not aware of it. We don't. There is a lot to be discovered in the spiritual world, which is probably not known to us.
So now we understood when the initiation happens, like when there is an
Yes,
immense desire. But some
yes.
people need some mundane help. So for that, they have to go to the masters.
Yes,
If
but
what?
somebody will come and tell you.
Yeah.
Somebody will come around because it is. There are three powers which work hand in hand. One is Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, and Kriya Shakti. For example, if there is a desire in me which has come back, then there has to be another accompanying force which is going to come. It's a naturally inbuilt because three together form Atma. These three together are Chaitanyam Atma on Shiva Sutra. These three forces, when they work together hand in hand, you will experience the existence of Atma and Parama. So this is it's a situation like if sun rises, then night is going to follow. If the sun rises, after some time, night is going to follow. If joy comes, sorrow is going to follow. Everything is, there is a circle. Similarly, these three, Jnana Shakti, Ichha Shakti, and Kriya Shakti, they come together hand in hand. The moment you have Ichha Shakti in you, which gets intensified, the knowledge about fulfilling that is also going to follow. It may not be intuitively directly to you, but it may come through another external source to come and tell you because you have craved for it. This is the power. This is a power. So the force comes to you. Through it, maybe somebody else will come and express that. I had been to London, and I was forced to take a shelter at some gentleman's house, and because of situations there. And when I went to their house, he welcomed me very well. But I was not sure whether they knew what the role of a guru is and what was expected, or I didn't want them to misunderstand my presence, because there are so many misunderstanding situations in the world. So next day he told me, Swamiji, be comfortable, don't feel uneasy, because before you came, 3 days before you came, your guru's 3 books came to me.
Wow.
So this is what I'm trying to tell you, that if you are in search of a guru, if your desire is strong, then somebody will come and give you the address, or the guru himself will walk into. Especially, guru walks into the lives of those spiritually vibrant devotees who are now amongst the 4 types. You have Trasta, Jidnyasu, Mumukshu, and Jnani. Trasta is who is materialistically frustrated, a man in pain. So for him also there is a door. For the person who's curious about it, or there is somebody who wants to learn something from it, and there is fourth one who's already a learned person. So there are 4 types of it. So normally Guru comes in search of a learned one, and the other 3 probably need to find their way to the doorstep. But
Okay. So
yes,
mostly we are in the first 3. Most of us are in the first.
don't worry, don't worry. You're doing such a beautiful job. Don't worry, you've already found your route. You've already found a good channel to bring all these holy saints to your doorstep. Don't worry.
I'm really honored to have you here. So since this is our Women's Special Express show, I have certain related issues would like to discuss about it. The first
Yes.
and very most is the retired life of a human being, whether it's a man or a woman. What happens,
Yes.
they're working throughout their 60 years of life. They're so busy, they're so much acquainted that they're running the shows in their home, and by then when they're about to retire, they're also at a very good post in whichever work they're doing, and suddenly they have to stop working.
Right.
That brings a lot of dilemma to a lot of people. It's very
Yes.
common, but it does
Yes.
happen. Some
Yes.
can start before their other journeys, what they want to do. They are very good in planning and other stuff, but not
Yes.
all of them fall into that.
Right.
So
Right. But this is a very good question.
yeah, yeah.
Now, I'll give you a very beautiful example. Uh, there was a country in which a king was to rule for 5 years, and after 5 years, he used to be taken across the rivers and the lake, whichever existed, and he was sent to another side of the town, so he doesn't come back here. And that was the condition. After 5 years, everybody was wondering, he said, now what will you do? Where will you go? He says, I've already built up another beautiful house across. So basically, you have got to plan. So plan in what way? Continue to follow the same routine. It's just that because time factor is very important. You follow the same routine. You plan your time similarly. It is just that the subjects which were filling the earlier, they need to be changed. Instead of professional, you take up hobbies. You can concentrate either on hobbies, or you can fill it with your grandchildren if you are living with them, or you can fill it with another, which a person like me would want to do, is try to discover the meaning of human life on earth. It's a very beautiful journey, wanting to know, because till now you've been led into a material world. Now, material world is simultaneously, the other half of the material world is the spiritual world. So even if you can turn and tap that angle, it's good enough. But time planning should not we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now I'll give you my plan. My morning 3 to 6 is given 8 hours of mine are in service of God. During my 24 hours, 8 hours I've planned in service of God. Whether I'm here or whether I'm staying with the family, my son, or whether I'm traveling. So normally these are the 8 hours I've dedicated as a job of Lord. So first 3 hours in the morning, 3 to 6, I've planned for my prayers. And 9 to 12, I take to studies. And 4 to 7, sharing what I have done.
Hmm.
So these three keep me going on. And since the time is planned, then I don't feel that there's nothing to look forward to. So there is planning.
More on that, like what happens, the retired people who are living with their family, they
Huh,
get mentally disturbed because
huh,
when they were at a very front face of the family, and then
yes,
suddenly they get backed off, like, the sons comes and say, okay, mom, just stay up aside, this is not your time, just sit, just sleep more, let me work on my own things and move. Then daughter-in-law comes into the picture and says, so why don't you relax, I'll take care of cooking, and somewhere she gets hurt. The same
right.
with the father. Okay, same with the father, where there was a big say, suddenly sons take up the place and
Huh,
say that, okay, this is what we are doing. And then suddenly he feels, no, nobody is asking me anymore, everybody is
right,
commanding me. So
right.
that mindset is disturbed,
I
and
give you
we
a
are
beautiful,
not prepared for sannyas ashrama,
no,
being in
no,
family.
I give you another very easier way of handling it. Now there are two words if you can associate with. One is tapta. Tapta is getting heat treatment. And second is santapta. Santapta is getting angry. These are two situations. Devaki, Krishna's mother, underwent tapta situation. The result was she was facing situations not of her choice, but she surrendered to it so beautifully that it was like a heat treatment taken to mold a gold into and turn it into an ornament. So there is a tapta situation in our lives where we need to voluntarily accept these changes. By if you do it voluntarily, it will be like you will be melted to make an ornament out of yourself. And if it is santapta, if you are going to be rebelling all the time, then it will be a situation like Kans. So he was santapta, he was unable to deal, and he finally ended up very frustrated. So there are these situations. Now, after 60, 65, people like us, we should think of getting stapta, not santapta. Now, when you talked about Kundalini Yoga, I left it that so that we could catch it up here. Kundalini Yoga is a science where you are made to go through a tapta situation. You are able to deal with situations without rebelling, but by evolving.
Hmm.
There is no revolution, there is evolution. So Kundalini Yoga helps you to evolve and not rebel. So when we look at Kundalini Yoga or the yoga that is to be followed by people, say, let's say it's not forced on them, unless they really want so much of independence, the best way is to be independent. That's another thing. But
Hmm.
suppose you are getting a chance. About 60 days, I was with my son because of this lockdown.
Hmm.
And as you said, uh, my daughter was comfortable cooking. She said, don't worry, I'll manage. Then there was no servant, so there was washing and sweeping the floor. So I offered in every way. She said, no, don't worry, we'll manage it. My son said, we'll manage it, don't worry. And
Hmm.
I realized I was that in my own room, but I finished more than about 200 couplets to translate. So I was able to do that. Now, either I look at it positively, that it's
Hmm.
a half glass filled, or I look at it as half glass empty. So, in a way, one should want to, and if they at all want to still keep on the front line, it's like two ants. They are saying, I'm before you, and the other says, no, I'm leading you. So, you just have to take a reverse.
Hmm.
So, then you are either leader and follower, there is not because it is with somebody. You have got to live for your own development. That is important.
Hmm.
Earlier you were behind in spiritual world. Now you be first in spiritual.
Hmm.
You were first in material world last time. Now try to be first in spiritual world. You are just changing the world. I remember when I was a teacher in Karnataka school,
Hmm.
and 5 years I taught, and fifth year the class was taken away. So I was disinterested, and I decided. So I rushed to my guru, and I said, "They've taken my class away, and I feel very bad." She said, "I have just changed the field. I have not taken away your kshamata.
Hmm.
Karya kshetra has been changed, not your karya kshamata. Your abilities are still the same. As you were, or you want to be first, all right, then choose another subject in which you need to compete against yourself.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah, yeah, that's a very interesting thing, sometimes, not sometimes, most often that happens. And,
Yes.
coming to that mindset is very important. I think that's
Correct.
the advice that you gave us. So,
Yes.
coming back to another women's problem that the woman always faces in her life is the menopause time. That's the
Correct.
most time where she is imbalanced, hormonally imbalanced, and then she's not either at home 100%, she's not at the work 100%. By the time the kids have grown up, and there are like lot of stretching on all the fronts, and then at one point of time she just feels that nobody understands me, although
I
that's not the truth. But that time is that kind of a very sensitive time. So how one should handle it by using this yoga, or coming
Yeah,
into
I'll,
this kind of a
yes.
philosophy,
Yes.
whether that will be of any ease. Yeah.
Yes. Now, basically, we are all having four trump cards, as I talked about:
Hmm.
physical, mental, intellectual, and spiritual strength. These are four trump cards. You have physical strength, you have mental strength, you have intellectual strength, and you have spiritual strength.
Hmm.
Now, the first physical strength has been affected because of this menopausal thing.
Yeah.
The second, mental, may be immediately the one affected, but you still have the other two at your hand. You are not, you are not left without any forces helping you. It's a very
Hmm.
beautiful question. Once a man looks up to God in heaven and he says, "Where are you?" God says, "Why? What happened?" So he says, I'm on earth, I'm in pain, and you're not there to help me." So God peeped down and he says, "Are you all by yourself? Is there somebody around you?" So he said, "There are many people around me." He says, "Why don't you ask them?" So it's not so difficult, but you got to deal with it intellectually. Certain situations you cannot change. But when you cannot change a situation, you should change the approach to it.
Hmm.
So that is very important. But so when you handle it intellectually, for example, it's a physical problem, so you deal with it with medicines first. And secondly, there are various two remedies I will give you now. One of them is do it with certain mudras. Meditation with certain mudras can help us. That's a very huge topic for which, if you want, you can take another day with me. But
Yeah.
normally this is a jala mudra.
Hmm.
This is a jala mudra, the karamli, the little finger and the thumb. This is a jala mudra. For people who are having a problem with these, they can comfortably sit with this mudra because it is going to which is a pacifying content for Agni. Agni will result into frustrations, anger bouts, helplessness, and water is the content which will minimize the effect of these. So, if you take this mudra and normally sit for, it doesn't matter even if it's not a meditation pose, you can sit and watch a television program if you want. But
Hmm.
you sit with this mudra because this is going to help and bring out balance in your body as far as the water element is concerned.
Hmm.
Wherever there is heat in the body, like my mind is say frustrated, my brain is tired because of it, then automatically it must have got hot. You'll realize it. Even tears, when you
mm,
cry, if it is out of anger, they are hot. But if it is out of love, they are cold.
yeah.
Yes. So when they are very one with love, with bhakti, with devotion, they are cold tears. You can feel them. They are gone. And because water's quality is to pacify the situation. So you can use this one element, that is one way. And there's another one which are tissue salts, which are like remedies. And each, like every tree and flower, we put some manure in that because we want it to grow well. Similarly, man also needs certain type of inorganic minerals which are going to give the balance to the body. There are 12 people born like January, February, March, April, May. So each one, I give you one or two examples, like a person born, like I'm born in March. If I run short of iron element in me, I may sulk. So the moment I feel I'm sulking and I know it's related with maybe lack of iron, I might eat little jaggery, or I might just take Faridol, or I might take my tablet of vitamin. And so each one of us are made with a certain manure important for us.
Mm,
Month-wise, if you take that, tissue salts, see, as I told you, if there is a question in the world, there is also an answer in the world. It is
mm,
God's creation. It cannot be imperfect. It is just that it has to reach the needs. Basic tissue salts, which are birth related, I normally share it with all those people. And you will believe it, even the illnesses which come are relevant with these birth tissue salts and your nature and your date of birth.
oh,
In
interesting.
LA, some time back, I had give a talk in the Diwali festival. I addressed about 10,000 people in
Mm,
LA. It was regarding what is light.
mm.
So, light was by your very birth of date and your family, you know what you are almost destined for. It is something so, but since we have not tapped these fields of knowledge, and there may be some masters in various numerology, there are masters in it, the homeopathic masters are there in that. But these are some of that. I think like first aid kit I keep for myself, certain knowledge, so that it helps me to. It's a very interesting topic.
Yeah,
Um,
essentially, we can come down on the other show where we take up this kind of subjects. But right now, we are running out of time, and
I'm
we
sure.
like to like to move to the end round of our show, where
Ah,
we ask the rapid fire questions to our guest towards the viewers who want to know their guest better. So
okay.
I would like to go ahead and ask you a few questions. We just need answers in one word or so. Just give me a
Woman.
second word when I say a word woman.
Huh. Um, she's the she's the delicate shade of the world.
Oh.
She is
What
the
is the
delicate
most?
shade.
Yeah, it's true.
She is the delicate shade of the world. With that
What is,
delicacy, in delicacy also there is strength, but delicacy should not be given up. Don't give up on femininity. You be Purushartha and Purush. They are different. Even in spiritual world, Purush means the one who knows the Prakriti, not the man we talk about. So
interesting.
be be powerful, but femininity don't give up, because that is a beautiful shade. That is literature of the world. That is not mathematics. That is literature of the world. Every piece of literature has become beautiful because of the lady. Okay.
What do you think that's most needed to liberate a woman from within?
Words, speech should be your perfection, because words are there to convert unseen situations to seen. They are not merely carrying messages, they are transformers of unseen to seen. And mother and woman is a creator. So she has to be very careful with her words and speech. We say Sri Ganeshaya Namaha, Sri Saraswati Namaha, Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sri Ganeshaya Namaha indicates what you should say. Sri Saraswati Namaha, how you should say. And Gurubhyo Namaha, when. This discipline is very important for women because they are creators of the nature, they are creators of the human race. So we have got to be very careful with words. Today, slightest words, dharsamha we call it. Slightest mistake in the words, and today the entire matrimonial system is crashing. Have to be very careful with words. Okay.
So, one word for death, life after death.
Life, life, life after
Life
death.
after death, yeah.
Let's continue. Let's continue. Let's continue living.
Wow.
Because it's going to only ask you to improve. Whatever you are, you know the word etiquette.
Yes, we know the word etiquette.
No,
Yeah.
yes. So if you have failed in certain projects when you are in a class, you need to repeat the exam. So
Yeah.
this is like an etiquette. We are only given second chance to improve your life for realization.
Interesting.
Let's
Give me
continue.
another word for relationship.
Um, Interdependency. It's
Hmm.
not dependency, it is interdependency. It should be respected. We need each other. Relationship is something we need each other. Whichever way it is, either it is a friend or a relationship or in-laws or mother-in-laws or your parents or your teachers, your masters, your nation, your society. So interdependence is a very important aspect to have faith in it. You cannot say I'm dependent or the concept of feeling guilty about being dependent. No, interdependence is what you should go for.
Wow. And the last question, give me another word for competition.
A competition, improving yourself. Motive should be important. Competition, behind competition, a motive is very important, beautiful. There are a lot of things I'd like to talk about. Was one is a workshop on clock. It's very important that you could have it with you. The second workshop on kundalini yoga. Right now I'm running an academy, Pranali, and I'm doing it on through YouTube's. So those who want to enroll it, they can just send me their numbers on my WhatsApp number 9511602400, and I'll be introducing them to four texts, beautiful texts on Siddha Yoga and um, Guru Charitra and Nanishwari, and this has very little to do with religious concept. People of various castes and communities also can join in. I have quite a few foreigners coming in from San Francisco, from various places to join me on it. So the idea is that yes, those who want to, and you'll get a certificate. If those will join, will get a certificate on Siddha Yoga in a year. So there
Yeah,
is a lot.
we'll add more to it. But before we go, we have a last question. We need advice from Guruji that, a woman who wants to follow her passion in her life, we need advice for her from you.
Yes, no, there's two things. I said, let them pursue. But as I said, there are certain priorities which have to be set right. Now, I'll give you the other day, somebody asked me about having some people who are career oriented, don't want children, let's say. So if they don't want children, but they don't realize it, that having a child is going to introduce the individual self to divine qualities. The earlier qualities which are within you are normal qualities, like being clever, being good, being whatever it is. But the divine qualities come when the children are born, where you learn to go into deeper, which differentiate us from the animal instincts, where there is a sacrifice, where there is a understanding, where there is a kindness extending, where there are some soft emotions of the individual. These are all tapped when you have a children. You mature. You when you even tend to go and further see that you have also passed on and thanked your parents for this. You
Hmm.
have not only gone ahead with the child and your development, but you have also turned back and given a gracious thanks to your parents, because we call it matru pitru rule. So unless, because that is going to give them the
Hmm.
result of divine qualities is peace and bliss.
Hmm.
That is going to go to the grand. If you deprive the children of your family, if you deprive yourself of children, you are going to deprive your parents of something which is humongously beautiful. Humongously beautiful. So
So
I
yes,
think,
like a person or a woman wants to follow her passion or a career or whatever that she really loves in, she still needs to balance what is divine to her by nature.
I'll give you an idea. You have 24 hours of it. 8 hours you keep for yourself. You follow the profession. 8 hours you include the others who are in your family.
Hmm.
And 8 hours you have your rest time. But in priorities, 8 hours are yours. I think it's a fair deal. It's a fair deal. 8 hours are for your career. 8 hours should be kept aside for your family or the other developments of your qualities which I talked about. And then 8 hours of rest in a hectic, because every kriti, every action needs a gap. So we need to rest after that.
Hmm.
So this is very important. You set your priorities right. They may change time wise, but
Hmm.
that's okay. But still, on your mind, what should weigh is 8 hours are yours. So if you want to develop in that, maximum do it. And
Hmm.
if you feel that they are running short, then you still have 8 hours extra which you are going to use it for sleep. You can cut them on that. You can utilize, borrow it from there. But these
Hmm.
8 hours which you are keeping for your family, for your husband, for your children, or for development of your divine qualities, that will go a long way to give you peace. Because after some time, as you said, when it comes to a retirement, you
Hmm.
will have to fall.
Right.
So when you want to fall upon something after retirement, because working is you are not only serving yourself, you are serving an external organization. It may it may be fluctuating. It may
Hmm.
have its fluctuation.
Hmm.
So it is worth. Of course, it is worth. We are 50% of the world is women. If women don't work, the world will come to a stall and stand still. But we need to work. But we also need to add, as I said, you are the beautiful shade of the life.
Hmm.
So you cannot deprive the rest of the 50% of this shade in their life.
Interesting.
So I think we can. My father used to beautifully say one thing. There's a women who keep on saying, asking their husbands, "Do you love us? Do you love us?" He used to say, "Why do you ask till he doesn't say he doesn't love you? Don't ask, because that's what he does." And my brother said it beautifully. He said, "Air I don't see around, like that. Maybe I don't notice my wife, but if the air is not there, I can't breathe. So if my wife is not around, I can't breathe." So this is beautiful system has been brought out, thought about by the wise. Even the Rishi Munis have their own families. Even the gods have their own families. Even gods have contributed to procreation. Some of them asked me uh, about um, reproduction or production. It is a contribution, it's a responsibility of, because they need to contribute something to the world. They
Hmm.
need to pass on something to the world. Now, they cannot just keep on having the best because that gives them joy. Yes, but you can enjoy your rights when you do your duties. So I think a woman, she's the most beautiful creature on earth.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Swamiji. Yeah, it was really a pleasure to have you on our show and get your guidance. I mean, we are really honored to have you, and you find the other side of it at some higher level point of view. It was tremendous joy to have these kind of answers that probably the logical mind doesn't think sometimes. It just
Right.
but still needs to be related. So that was Swamiji with us, giving us a guidance to start follow your passions, but at the same time have some spirituality in every human being, whether it's a man or a woman. We'll have more guests on our show. Keep tuning to Women's Special Express Show. Thank you.
Thank you.
I let go of my claim on